welcome back. Today we're playing a game called Heal Hitler. This is apparently made for a game jam. The developer said that they researched several events in Hitler's life to make this a serious game and not satirical. Honestly, when I saw the title, I couldn't pass it up. We are apparently playing as Hitler's psychologist in 1924. Let's get going. Objective: find and heal the source of Hitler's anger to prevent the war from happening. 0 of 3 traumas. Hello, Mr. Hitler. Do you want some coffee or tea? Hello, tea, please. Where do I sit? Lie down on the sofa. Are you comfortable? Yes. Okay, so we can start. What is the issue you come here with? My colleagues tell me I have some anger issues. Can we scroll? Kind of. Oh, it takes a lot to scroll. So note to self, don't fall behind in the conversation. I also like how it's 1924 and we're texting. No pressure. Real therapist playing this. You have to find 0 of 3 traumas. Also, in real life, we don't know how many traumas someone might be struggling with. There's no counter. And we don't exactly have like a transcript of our conversations in front of us. I also like how he is laying down on the couch. It is very Freudian. My colleagues tell me I have some anger issues. Okay, can you elaborate on that? Or when did that start? Yeah, like, just because someone says you have anger issues doesn't mean you have anger issues. Can you elaborate on that? I don't know, but I am generally angry about the political situation. It was very humiliating for our country that we lost the World War I. And now we have to pay reparations and our army is restricted. I feel humiliated. I did not go to fight in the war thinking that we will lose. And what am I going to do now? I just got out of prison a few months ago. I think this is also really hard because, like, a therapist's job is to validate their client and provide that space for them. And our job isn't to try to manipulate our clients into doing certain things. So like this game is kind of like maybe not cause World War II, but I don't know enough about Hitler, full honesty, to know if he was working with a therapist. But it's kind of a weird ethical question of, would it be that therapist's job to prevent World War I, or would it be that therapist's job to provide space for Hitler? It's such a weird ethical dilemma, I think. Because we, as a therapist, we might be working with people where what they need in that moment is that validation, even if we don't personally agree with it. And we don't work with people with hindsight. We don't sit there and work with people going, oh, yeah, in a month from now, they're going to do this thing that I don't want to happen. So how can I steer the conversation that way? We don't go into conversations with that knowledge. You fought in World War I, or you were in prison. Prison seems to be more personally relevant to him. So weird, because like he's right there and there's these ellipses. Yes, I was in prison. I was supposed to be executed for treason, but they got it down to 5 years and let me out in 9 months for good behavior. What did you do? How did you use your time there? How did you use your time there seems more relevant to like what do we care about versus what did he do? Because he may not have actually done what they said he did. How did you use your time in prison? I wrote my book. I'm in prison. Oh, I heard about that book. Isn't that the anti-Semitism handbook? Don't side with the Jews. They are vermin. They need to be eliminated. They are filthy. A cancer to our beautiful country. Germany could not wait for me, its savior. I had to write my vision before I could be crucified and burned at the stake. Oh. Okay. And I think this is also an ethical dilemma that therapists face too. This idea of, do I, confront is the word that's used here, so that's the word that's coming to mind. Or like, do I kind of gently discuss these things and kind of point out that maybe they are a problem for you, even if you don't feel like they're a problem, right? These beliefs or perspectives that our clients take, it's like, do I gently discuss them? And to be fair, it's kind of a timing thing a lot of the times too. Like, when might I discuss these things? Or do I give that client that safety and validation? And so much of this is a English is very difficult for me right now. So much of this is a timing thing, and our client, like every client is going to be different. And so sometimes in that moment, what that client may need is validation. Sometimes with another client in a different moment, what they might need is that gentle kind of prodding that's like, hey, maybe this isn't helping you right now. And we're playing a game, which isn't real therapy. Confront his anti-Semitism. These seem to be some pretty strong beliefs. I don't know if this is like really happening with me. I don't know if I would confront this, because also this is my first time meeting with this person, and I say that because I don't know already about this. Like, if this is someone I've been meeting with for a long time, wouldn't I already know about this? Wouldn't I already know about the prison? I wouldn't be sitting here asking this for someone I had even been meeting with for a month. So for a first time meeting, I probably would not confront this stuff. Do nothing. Let's talk about your mother. Yeah, let's do that. I really loved my mother. She was the most precious person I've known. Interesting. Tell me, like, you talk so much softer about her than you do other things. Tell me more about your mother. I loved her very much. She always provided me with everything I wanted. She was very tidy and clean. She allowed me my own way whenever possible. So she admired my watercolor paintings and drawings and supported my artistic ambitions. It devastated me when she died. I was absolutely at the bottom. It was a pain I had never experienced before and never after. She was my mother. She died of breast cancer when I was 18. Her doctor was a Czech Jew. I'm gonna destroy that name. But I'd rather not talk about that. Let's talk about something else. Doesn't that count as a trauma? Come on, game. That's a trauma right there. So someone that you loved more than anybody else dies. You're blaming her doctor. That's a trauma. That's a trauma. Oh, you want me to fully explore this? Tell me about the Jewish doctor. Tell me about the Jewish doctor. Who was this doctor? He was a very kind person. It was like a big compliment from you. He treated my mother free of charge because we had no money. I actually sent him a postcard and a painting to thank him. He was a noble Jew. It was a very backhanded compliment. Ask him about his Jewish origins. Ugh. Yeah, let's explore this more. Let's just dig all this shit out. First time meeting. He'll never come back. How come he is noble and the rest of the Jews are filth, according to you? Oh, the doctor was noble. Some time ago, I found out that what he had said about me, that he never saw anyone so prostrate with guilt as me in all of his years as a doctor. My mother really was the only person. Oh, I gotta scroll up. Mother really was the only person I loved, but the other Jews, Jesus. They are damaging the integrity of our state. They are absolute vermin, a virus. They need to be eliminated. Yeah, there's no need to be so harsh. We'll also talk about your anti-Semitism today. Okay. Tell me more about high school. Let's go back to your wartime. We didn't talk about high school, to be fair. Tell me about high school. More about high school, I guess. I went to a technical high school because my father would not let me go to the art academy. Like, some bitterness there. I always wanted to be a painter, but he thought being an artist was ridiculous. We had a lot of arguments about it because an office job would be like a prison to me. He beat me a lot too, but in high school I learned a lot about National Socialism, and then I dropped out. Father beat you. Yes, well, my father beat me often. He worked in Austrian civil service and wanted me to do the same thing. He also drank too much. My mother was 22 years younger than him. What the fuck? There's so much here. We already talked about your mother. Tell me more about your father. I never loved my father, but feared him. Very Machiavelli. He was prone to rages and would resort to violence. My poor mother would always be afraid for me. So your mother was a protector? When I read Karl May once that it was a sign of bravery to hide one's pain, I decided that when he would beat me next time, that I would make no sound. When it happened, I knew my mother was standing anxiously at the door. I counted every stroke out loud. My mother thought I had gone mad, and I reported to her with a beaming smile, 22 strokes father gave me. From that day, I never needed to repeat the experiment, for my father never beat me again. My father died when I was 13. When he did, I was free to pursue my dream of becoming an artist. I started painting when I was 19. I was especially good at painting buildings. After my mother died, I moved to Vienna to pursue the career as a painter. I applied twice at the Academy of Arts. They rejected me both times. I was sure I could get in. I was confident, but they told me I am not good enough. Ooh, that's a belief right there. That I would be a fine architect, but not a painter. It sent me into a downward spiral. I became homeless for 2 years. Did not know that. These damn Jews would not let me in. Filthy bourgeoisie. They couldn't see I was genius. What do they know about painting? Mother's death, rejected from art school. Counting that stuff out loud is such defiance. I'm not going to confront his anti-Semitism. I feel like the third trauma is about his war, right? We have these three options. High school, which leads to being rejected from art school. His mother, which is the other trauma. So war seems to be the third trauma. Yes, I fought for Germany. Really? I thought you were Austrian. I hate Austria-Hungary because my father loved it, yeah. I did not want to fight for Austria, so I escaped. That way I could join the Bavarian army. They probably made an error and let me in anyway. How was the war? Yeah, how was that? Well, first of all, I had to shave my mustache because it didn't fit into the gas mask. That way you have the typical, like... When we were at, I can't say that, in Belgium, British attacked us. They used gas. It was yellow. My eyes turned into glowing coals and I could not see a thing. I was devastated. How can I save Germany if I am blind? You had shell shock. That's fucking trauma, dude. Mustard gas. Well, yeah, mustard gas. But also, like, shell shock is what they would call trauma in World War I. And then it, like, traumas, the name for trauma has changed over the years. And initially started getting named, getting a name basically because of these massive wars. Yeah, you had shell shock. Let's go with that. That sounds like hysterical blindness. You could have just fucking said shell shock. It is common among soldiers to experience so-called shell shock. The experience of war is too much for your nervous system. It just ceases to take any more input. Temporal blindness is one of the symptoms. The new term we are starting to use for shell shock is war neuroses or battle fatigue. Battle fatigue is World War II. You found all the Trump. Yes. Is this Hitler dancing? We will start the healing process in the next session. Oh my gosh. So yeah, like trauma started getting these names because of war, and we were seeing massive amounts of soldiers who were coming back with the same symptoms. And so shell shock was World War I, battle fatigue was World War II, and then it got more names after that, and it's developed to this point where now it's called PTSD. And the symptoms have changed as well over the years to be what it is now. But these things, having traumas associated with our parents, it's a very real thing. We are all learning and growing constantly throughout life. And I think that we forget that our parents are people too, which means they are constantly learning and growing. So unfortunately, it is a common thing to have trauma that comes from our parents. And it can be so hard to have things like war happen and to feel like there are these common themes of certain people who are rejecting us. But that is a huge part of what trauma, or not trauma, but what therapy is there for too, is to help us figure out that these things may not be as big of a theme as we think they are. You know, these idea of sometimes what happens is we get a bit blinded in life, and then we only start to see the things that we want to see. And therapy can kind of help us see that there are other perspectives that we can take, such as maybe Jewish people aren't out to get us. But I like this game. I mean, I don't know if I would take some of the exact approaches that this therapist did, but it's also not in the 20s. Like, I wouldn't be a therapist in the 20s because I'm a woman. So I really enjoyed this. If you want to download it for yourselves, the link will be in the description, and I will see you next time.